Hello, Stephanie Feeney. I'm so excited to have you here for our Red Coach talk today. Hello.
Hello, Angie. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Stephanie, I don't even remember how long I know you, but I remember the first time I met you, I almost burst out in tears
Ah,
because
tell me why.
we were talking about how we can support refugees. So it must have been around
Hmm.
2015. And I told you like something like, you know what? I just want to do more. And then I almost cried. That's how
That's
we
right.
how we met for the first time.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yes, indeed.
And you're an inspiration, Stephanie. And I want to give our viewers a chance to understand more about you. So maybe you just kick it off by you telling us why you do what you currently do.
Sure, I will. I will try my best. That's a great question. It's a sort of a multi-layered question. And before I even sort of answer the first part, the why part, I think I have to also think about the what I do part and how to articulate that as well. So, I mean, what do I do? I mean, currently I work at a startup, and that's kind of been a red thread actually through my career since I've started, working for young companies or working for young initiatives. And that's because I realize that I like building things, I like sort of coming in when something is unformed and not so clear, and helping to kind of get that up and running, putting some structure around it, getting it organized, and making things sort of run smoothly. And so that's something that I do, and I like to do that. In my current role, I manage strategic partnerships, and I also lead a team which is also focused on relationships. It's about user engagement on a tech platform that we're building. So that's another sort of hint about why I do what I do, because I like people and I like the relationship side of people and I like engaging with people. And others prefer numbers, or they prefer code, or they prefer the science side of it, but I like the people side of it. So that's a kind of another hint about why I do what I do. And I'm currently working at a nature tech nonprofit company, which again is another hint in that, I like to work at organizations whose mission aligns with my personal values. That's something that I have learned that I need to do that. And I didn't always do that in my early career. I worked in organizations and sort of, realized, however, with time that in order for the work to be very meaningful and satisfying, I need to have that alignment with my personal values. So, and I'm also
That's marvelous.
a
Yeah.
mother.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, sure.
I'm a mother to two
Yeah.
kids, and I work full time. And I have to answer, because that's also a question that I get asked, why do you do what you do if you're a mother to two kids and you work full time? And that also sort of hints at, I just love working. I love the intellectual challenge of working. I need that, and all of those pieces together sort of form the puzzle of why I do what I do. So it's sorry, maybe a too long an answer, but
No,
it's so
absolutely.
multi-layered, a question like that, and it really kind of makes you have to think about it carefully. So
It's
yeah.
absolutely marvelous. And I always realize, we have so many things in common. And I guess that's also why we originally connected. Now,
Yes.
when you
Yes.
think back, to your journey, how did you get
Mm.
to where you are today? I'm sure it wasn't always easy. Yeah, so
Nope.
you're also an expat in
Hmm.
Switzerland,
Yeah.
and you just mentioned casually that you're a full-time working mom in Switzerland.
Hmm.
That's not
Hmm.
really so common yet. Yeah, so
Yeah.
maybe you could tell a bit about your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd love to think about that. I mean, I think part of that is definitely down to a bit of my personality. I'm somebody who, when I decide to do something and put my mind to something, then I really focus on it, and I'm almost sort of like quite dogged and like like maybe like a dog who won't give up a bone. It's sort of, it can be a positive thing, but sometimes it's also a negative thing. But I really think that that's part of, helping me to get where I am to today. I grew up in Ireland in a working class family. So, my parents are not, don't have an academic background. I grew up, a child in the 80s in Ireland, which was, a tough time growing up there. And I was the first person in my family, and I mean the wider family of, all aunts and uncles and cousins and all of that, to go to university. But I really wanted to do that. And I think that says something about me. It's like, I kind of set myself a goal and I absolutely focused in on that. And so I think focus is a very important thing. And we hear a lot about that today, about focusing on important goals. But in the world we kind of live in today, which is so, we're constantly bombarded by messages from all different kinds of channels, and particularly in the last couple of years where work has moved into a more of an online world, that just the sheer volume of work that we're expected to process, it's really, I think, being able to focus in on important goals is really key. And I think that means saying no to some
Hmm.
stuff,
Hmm.
because you're really clear on what the important goals are. So that focus, and also just that determination and hard grit work, is something that is kind of in my personality, and not hanging around when things get comfortable. So I have found myself in sometimes in after a number of years working in organizations where it feels quite comfortable. I know what I'm doing. I'm contributing. Things are running smoothly. But as soon as I get that sense that I'm not learning anymore, then I get this itch. It's like I have to move on. I have to go somewhere else. So I also have a kind of intrinsic love of learning and being challenged, and being somewhere where I really feel like, hey, I'm learning lots in this environment. This is, and so these kind of things have driven me. Yeah, and the Switzerland point specifically. Again, and arriving to Switzerland and making a very determined decision to learn the local language,
Hmm.
and to focus like very hard on getting into the local job market. And that is difficult in Switzerland. I came from a position in London where if I wanted to change jobs, I probably could have found a very good new job within 3 months, a very privileged kind of position to be in. And I was maybe a little bit naive moving to Switzerland and thought that that would be similar here as well. And it wasn't, but I dug my teeth in all sorts of ways, and just, kept on it, kept persevering, and sort of, yeah, just tried everything possible to get that first move and step into the job market. And from there, I think that then things started to open up in this country for me as well. So
And I think that,
yeah.
that is a huge achievement because you actually work in German and, you work
Yes.
in your second language, basically. So I think that's a huge achievement. And so I understand your secret to success has a lot to do with your values,
Mm-hmm.
focusing on people and relationships,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and the perseverance, persistence, grit.
Great.
So
Yeah, that's a good one.
that is fantastic. And you know what I also love, because also I think we're very similar. You know, we never stop
Yeah,
learning. You know, if we are not in
yeah,
an education at some stage in the year, we feel
yeah,
unhappy. Yeah. So
yeah.
we're like machines. We're like these, you know, from outer
Yeah.
space that always need input
Yeah, yeah,
or
and
inspiration
sometimes
too.
that's learning from the people who you work with, because you know you learn from the way in which they work, or the topics that they work on, or how they communicate. And if you're not in an environment where you think you're like you know, even learning in that sense, then yeah, it's for me, then it's definitely time to seek out something else. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, great. And from all of this, your, you know, from all your success secrets, if you had to share one tip with, let's say, a more junior professional right now, what would that be?
One thing, I guess it's you know, the and this has also taken me time to learn, and so it's easy to say it, but it's not an easy thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But really, you know, if you feel inside you that there's something that you want to do, or there's something you want to try out, then believe that you should be able to do that. So maybe it's like that kind of self-belief, or if you have an intuition to go after it. But also if you can't go after that yourself, then find somebody who will help you to do that. You know, get support, get help. There are so many people out there who can help you to do that. So don't sit on it. Don't sit on that feeling of I want to do something, but and sometimes the first step is simply just communicating it, articulating it, saying it out loud,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, just it's not always easy, and I didn't always have that, but I have learned to do that, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you know, if you can think, oh, I think I want to do this, and don't keep it to yourself. Tell someone about it. Tell someone about it and start.
Yeah, I
Sometimes
like
that's the
to,
first
yeah,
step.
I also like to say to clients, like, you know, if you feel stuck, you need to
Yeah.
start with one step,
Yes.
one baby
Yeah.
step.
Yeah.
Don't think about your 5-year plan.
Yeah.
Do this
Hmm.
next thing that you can do, the next
Yeah.
step that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is how you move forward.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
you know, I mean, we shared this discussion many times already, but we also know how important personal branding is,
Yeah.
especially for professional women in Switzerland.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
because sometimes there's this assumption that because you're female and you're married, that you don't have to have a career. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, be happy that you have a job. You don't need to have a career. So in terms of
And what are you
brand,
doing working 100%? This is
yeah,
outrageous.
yeah, outrageous. Why would
Yes.
you do that?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Uh,
Indeed. Yeah.
and you know, if you think of it in terms of social media, where is your favorite platform at the moment for showing your brand, for, you know, for being there?
Yeah, I mean, for me, LinkedIn is the platform that I use, because I'm not, on a personal level, not so a big social media user in that sense. A bit of a dinosaur, actually, you could say. I hope my kids are going to like drag me into 2022 and show me all the new the new fads. But from a professional perspective, I think LinkedIn is for me important, and it's somewhere where I also see results, you know. So it's somewhere where I have made connections. It's a place where, you know, I've posted something and got some good feedback on it, and it's a place where you can start to sort of communicate who you are and what your values are and what you're interested in, and it's a place where I can position myself in that sense as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I do think LinkedIn is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with LinkedIn, you can use it to, you know, as much or you know, sort of as little as you like. But and I'm probably not a very heavy user of it, but rather a regular user. And still I see the kind of impact that it has, and it does create interesting opportunities for me. So I think LinkedIn from a professional perspective is a really good medium to use.
Yeah, fantastic. And that's also where our viewers can find you. We already will put the link to your profile into the show notes.
Great.
So that
Great.
people can connect with you and have a conversation, because I think you're working for an amazing startup, but also, I mean, people should just be connected to you because you're just a great resource as well. Like I'm sending a lot of my clients to you for conversation about incubation startups, because that's also what you did before.
Yes,
so,
that's right.
So
that's
yeah,
right. Yeah.
People connect to Stephanie. That's what
Thank you, Angie. I appreciate that.
And in terms of anything else, you know, is there anything else you want to share with our viewers today?
I mean, one thing that in our conversation it's just brought to mind is, you know, if you're thinking, you know, in your career, you feel you're stuck in a rut and you want to do something, but you don't know how to get out of it. I think one thing that's really important is you have to also surround yourself with leadership who wants to do something and go somewhere as well. That's really important. So even if you're, you know, have a lot of ambition and a lot of drive, but you're sort of in a situation where, you know, the structure doesn't allow you to leverage that, then you have to sort of look for something else and find people who are also, you know, as ambitious and as driven as you are, and do things with them together. So that's another sort of maybe tip, just to make sure that you're in the right sort of atmosphere and in the right environment. And another thing, which Angie, which I think about as we sort of, you know, spoke together before the start of this interview, I would like to maybe come and interview you on the Red Couch, because I think that you also have, you know, a lot of experience to share, and I think it would be maybe a lot of fun to turn that around one day. And I don't know if there's room for two on the Red Couch, but I'd very much like to pose those same questions to you and hear what your answers are. So maybe we get to do that one day as well.
That is such a great idea. We should really do that. I love the idea.
We should.
And there is room for two people, and now we can also meet again. So I think it's going to take the Red Couch to a whole new level.
That's great. Then we should do that. Let's do that.
Wonderful talking to you as always. And I look forward to sharing a glass of rosé in person as soon as possible.
Let's do that. Thank you, Angie, for the invitation. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been so happy to talk with you today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Angie.